I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
You're tired.
Well, the lunchtime whistle and the morning's finally done. I'm jumping in my car, I'm gonna have a little fun. The Doghouse Network's on my radio dial. Big Dog's taking care of business for a while. If you're listening to another station I don't understand, 'cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
Give us a call, Steve.
He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the Junkyard Dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Tide and Tiger Land, nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Throwback Thursday in the Doghouse. I am Thom Abraham. We are coming to you from my favorite Mexican restaurant on the planet, Corralejos. That's right. And it's 7-Eleven Day, by the way. So make sure you visit your favorite convenience store. Do they have 7-Elevens around here? I don't even know. Do they have some? I mean, I'm kind of a MAPCO guy. AM, PM is solid. Racetrack. You know, I like those guys as well. And if I see a Marathon gas station at one of those things, I'll drive by the others to get to the Marathon station because they sponsor the Bassmaster Live studios. And I just want to, I want to take care of my, I want to take care of my sponsors for Bassmaster Live. I guess the closest one of a 7-Eleven is up in Tullahoma, Tennessee, which we'll be broadcasting into beginning next week, but not this week. But when it comes to Mexican cuisine, this is the place, Corralejos, here in the Publix Plaza on Oakwood, right off Research Parkway behind Westminster Christian Academy. The chicken quesadilla is second to none. I just knocked one down. And you can snag some Corralejos on zone deals tomorrow morning beginning at 8. But I'm going to warn you, they'll be gone by like 8:10, maybe 8:05. They're going to be gone, so you better be ready. I will, however, feed the first couple of people that stop by to say hello today. So if you come on by and you say hello, I got $25 for you at Corralejos here, and you can have lunch. This quesadilla I just knocked down is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe how much chicken was in that thing. I mean, it was packed. And the cheese, it's just that's how I grade a Mexican restaurant, is by the chicken quesadilla. And the chicken quesadilla here, second to none. I'm going to tell you that, as well as everything else. I mean, our listeners will tell you. The listeners that have been here will tell you the same thing about all of the different dishes that they have here and the Mexican cuisine that they have here. So it's really, really cool. I'm hopeful. We're going to find out that my daughter Kelly may be stopping by. She is a superstar in her own right, the singer, and she might be coming by today as well to have a little bit of lunch down here. So, you can meet her, get an autograph, find out about her latest video. I don't know if she's bringing her – she's probably not bringing a guitar with her. I don't think she just, rolls around town with a guitar. I don't think that's the way that works. But anyway, we'll see if that happens as well. All right, we are T-minus 2 show days today and tomorrow from Dallas and SEC Media Days. And today we are going to take a look at Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss team. Maybe the most hyped group since Kiffin has been there. I mean, the Rebs will be featured on Monday at SEC Media Days. Lane Kiffin hits the podium at 1:50. You will hear his comments in full live. I mean, that's going to go to about 2:20, so it'll cut into, it's going to cut in there to Paul Feinbaum, and then we'll join Feinbaum in progress after that. But Kiffin will be up at 1:50 on Monday. Now, by the way, the commissioner will open the festivities at 9:05 with his State of the SEC address, and we'll have that live as well during the Morning Blitz. Okay, the Morning Blitz will be like, hey, welcome to the Morning Blitz. Let's go to the podium. And then that's it, basically, because it'll be until 9:50. He'll go for 45 minutes or so. Now, all four of our shows will be there, and it will be all hands on deck. You will likely hear different personalities from all the shows appearing at different times during the day. It could just happen that way. You never know. You know what I mean? Drew might jump on with me, or Steve, or I might jump on with them, or Wes might jump on with whatever. Okay, whatever. The only one that never really kind of ventures much outside of his time slot is Scott. Now, Scott's running around doing a bunch of things. There's no doubt he's getting recordings. He's talking to people. He's setting up interviews. He's doing all of that. But I don't know that Scott Tyson's ever been on my show. I don't know that I've ever been able to reach out to Scott and say, hey, Scott, why don't you come on the show? I'm just saying, I don't know. Steve has been on many, many times. Wes comes on with me all the time. Captain Cool has been on. The Bandy Man has been on. Drew comes on. The elusive one is Scott. All right? And, for whatever reason, I don't know. I can't tell you why. But, we'll see. Maybe I'll try to get him late in the week to kind of promote our own high school media day, which will be Monday at Toyota Field, the Monday after we get back from Dallas. All right, so maybe I'll be able to snag him for that. We'll see. Maybe not. Don't know. Now, Chuck Oliver is there as well, and, of course, Paul Feinbaum. So, all in all, we have 12 hours a day from Dallas. I mean, stop me if I'm lying. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., it's all going to be from Dallas. So get ready for talking season. Now, helping us today on Ole Miss is Jake Thompson from omspirit.com, the on-3 site for the Rebs. Now, also today, Big 12 Media Days has wrapped up their 2-day stint at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. I don't know. We joke about the fact that, it just means more in the SEC, and it takes us 4 days to get through now 16 teams. It'll be 4 per day. It used to start at lunchtime on Monday, all right? And then it would end in fact, it used to start at lunchtime on Monday and end at lunchtime on Thursday when I first started doing it in 2004, okay? But it now is going to start, instead of the commissioner making his address at 11:45 or 11:30, whatever, he has to do it at 9:05 in the morning. So there'll be 4 teams each day. I don't know how they covered 16 teams in 2 days with the Big 12, but they did it. They got it done. And, of course, it's a vastly different-looking league now with Oklahoma and Texas over here. But now they've got Colorado and Arizona State and Utah. So they pulled all of that out of the Pac-12, the former Pac-12, which means that Coach Prime and all those eyeballs, becomes a thing when they get Colorado. Remember, they paid for Colorado. They didn't pay the other schools, allegedly. They paid Colorado $2.5 million with the thought that Colorado would drag with them the other 4 corner schools. And they were able to get that done. All right? Now, Coach Prime, he gets all the eyeballs. He gets all the ears. There's no doubt about it. For how long, we'll find out. I don't know. But Mark Johnson is the play-by-play voice of the Buffs. And he is coming up today as well. And we'll just find out a little bit about, what went on at Big 12 Media Days and how long this thing is, at what point in time does the Coach Prime thing get stale, if it gets stale? What's the, what do they need to do? Do they need to be a bowl team this year to get past, to show real progress? So we'll talk with Mark Johnson about that as well. All right, your phone lines are open as always, 256-576-4977. You can text the show at any time, 24/7, at 732-9TA-SHOW, 732-982-7469. Those things all stay the same. Remember, we've been telling you that beginning Monday from Dallas, the show will be carried as well on ESPN 1340 and 106.9 at WCDT up in Winchester, Tennessee, all over Franklin County and in that part of the area. And that works out really good because, all right, it's about where our signal drops off. So we're not extending our reach of the show We're extending the reach up north a little bit. All right, this show and Captain Cool's show. All right, it wouldn't work for Talking Ball because that show's brutally local. You know, they do more local stuff. We do more regional stuff. They do more local stuff than we do. All right, there's just no doubt about it. I mean, they're having high school coaches and players, and they cover a lot of that stuff a lot more. That wouldn't play up there, and they'll have their own morning show up there called the Starting Lineup, which will cover things that are brutally local to Southern Tennessee. All right, us, we're regional. All right, so that works a little bit more for us. But the phone lines remain the same, 256-576-4977. Text window is the same, 7329-TA-SHOW. Great way to communicate with us. My X feed at Thom Abraham Show, that remains the same. Watching the show on the YouTube channel at WZZN TV remains the same. You can get links to all of that stuff at 977ESPN.com. You can get our app. Make sure that you get the app where you get links to all our additional zone feeds as well. And look, Talk Radio WZZN has an app as well. You need to get that. You got room for it on your phone, so go ahead and put it in there. You get more great action. That's where the Trash Pandas are, and they are over there on the air as well at 97.7-2. Now we're going to get into a number of things, including Connor O'Gara's 12 seeds that he has been writing about at Saturday Down South. Now remember a couple of days ago, David Moulton said that the Big 12 is a one-bid league. Does Connor agree? Now, Connor has 4. David Moulton and I both said probably 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big 10. And then, you got to have 1 from the group of 5. And then you're going to have the ACC and you're going to have the Big 12. And he thought that the ACC could get 2 and the Big 12 would get 1, something along those lines. Well, Connor has the Big 10 getting 3. He's got 4 from the SEC, and he has 3 from the Big 12. Now, does he have the Big 12 as a one? He has 3 from the Big 10, I should say. Does he have the Big 12 being a one-bid conference? I'll share with you what his thoughts are on that, and we can agree to disagree or agree to agree on how that shapes up. Now, I said from the 10, it's so hard these days. Now, you've got to remember where everybody is from. All right? So he's got 1, 2, 3 from the Big 10. 3 from the Big 10. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, none of them are Michigan. Well, just to tell you that right off the bat. Connor O'Gara does not have Michigan going. He's got 3 from the Big 10. And he's only got 1 from the ACC. All right, so we'll run those down for you a little bit later as well. All right, back in the little glass room, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and keeping us on the air. And you know, it is baseball season. We got the All-Star break coming up. I'm going to call him Chop House Chad.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? Detective. It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a radio show. It ain't a one-hour television spectacular.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
He may be the smartest person that I've ever met.
Testosterone high today.
What's that?
Testosterone, whatever the it is. Testosterone.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
It really doesn't matter what you think. It really doesn't matter what you say.
Grizzlicious. Now I got to ask you: have you made it over here yet to Corraleos? Have you been over to this fine Mexican restaurant?
No, I think there was one day I was going to, and then something happened, and I just couldn't get over there. It was like right after your show. I remember I was going to, but I just didn't get around to it. No, I have not.
Are you a Mexican restaurant food fan?
Yes, 100%.
When you go to a Mexican restaurant, what is it that is like at the top of your list that you really like to get?
I mean, fajitas. I mean, I could eat anything, really. You throw anything in front of me. I mean, any kind of tacos, any kind of meat, then thrown in a taco.
Can you do the spicy stuff? Because
Yeah,
I can't do
always.
spicy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's carne asada, the types of, like I just, like, will get, like, some kind of dish. Like, some of these food trucks and the trucks that you'll see, you know, around here, too, are really good. So it's just, like, you can find, like, a gym somewhere. But, like, I've never been to Corleo's, so I wouldn't know. So I need to try it out for sure. But Mexican food is right there. I mean, top two to me, Italian and Mexican food. Those are my top two.
Yeah. Yeah, Italian food for me is tough to get. It's tough to get past Italian food. And then I'm an American cuisine guy. I don't venture real far out there. I mean, I love the grill. I mean, I got the grill going. I can't wait to I got to get my outdoor kitchen from Owen Home Appliance, and I just have to get the space set up for it. And now what's happened is that space is immediately adjacent to the new studio that's being built for Big Dog Productions. It's immediately adjacent to it. I mean, literally, when I walk out the door, I'm going to walk right into the outdoor kitchen area and of the new place. So I know you're like, dog, you just moved the studio. I did. But I moved the studio into the guest house, and my wife wants the guest house back. You know, she does. She says, look, the guest house needs to be a guest house. And look, I don't think she's listening right now, so I'm going to throw this out there. This was kind of an end run. I was like, you know what? I'm moving the studio into the guest house. And then when I did that, I knew that it would just a little bit, she would just bristle a little bit. Because I used the bathroom out at the guest house. I used the kitchen out at the guest house. And she's like, we've had guests come, and they've stayed in the master bedroom in the guest house, but then they can't have their kids over there because you took the other bedroom. The guest house is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 900-square-foot block home, which we completely renovated. It's beautiful. It's where Grizz will stay when he comes and visits me at some particular point in time, finally. And so I have it out there, and I knew that this was going to be hard for her, that she's going to throw up a little bit in her mouth every day when she thinks about me having my studio over in a guest house. I've always had my eye on this old servants' quarters, which is all wood and brick inside.
Yeah,
it's
you're talking
brick.
about,
It's wood. It's got built-in shelving units, and it's bigger. It's a little bit bigger than my current studio, and it's right there. You know, it's right there alongside the house, and it's a separate, completely freestanding, separate building. Okay, and I'm going to have heating and air in there. I'm going to have a little refrigerator in there, a microwave, a coffee machine. I got the brick fireplace. And the project is now beginning, all right? That the building has been emptied, we're sanding and all this, and it's going to be like you want to talk, from the day I moved into that house 8.5 years ago, I have said, oh, what a man cave that'll be, you know what I mean? What a man, and she's always said, oh, let's make it a playhouse for the grandkids. Oh, let's make it this. Oh, let's make it that. And then we used it for a storage room for 4 or 5 years.
It's usually,
Yeah, and then when I built the barn, we started moving the stuff out of there and into the barn, and then it kind of became a dumping ground, and it was nearby and everything else. So now, by having the studio in the guest house, she is finally broken down to the point where she wants the guest house back so badly that she said, why don't you move your studio into the old servants' quarters, which now we don't have to call the old servants' quarters anymore, too. That's the other thing. We're going to call it the studio, you know. Yeah. And I'm gonna my daughter's gonna make up a nice sign for me that says Big Dog Productions on it, which is gonna be on the outside of the thing, and it's gonna be sweet,
Nice neon sign. Got to get you your own neon sign and everything.
I don't know about neon. You know who's got neon is WCDT.
Yeah,
Joe's
I saw
station.
that. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
They got like a neon sign.
That's how they took
the
a picture.
studio.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of cool. I got to be honest with you. It's kind of cool. I don't know that I'll have neon sign. I will have. She thinks it would be really cool to have an on-air sign on the outside of the thing. So when I'm on air.
Or just a red light.
Well, that's the other thing. There's an old gooseneck light that hangs over the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if I put a red bulb in that gooseneck thing, and then whenever I'm on the air, I just hit the switch.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a red light shining, and that means I'm on air. Wouldn't that be cool?
I don't know if it means you're on air all the time, but yeah, sure.
Well, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't leave
the
it
red
on
light
when
district.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, don't want to necessarily do that. Next thing you know, it'll be like guys knocking on the door. Like, hey, what's going on in there?
No, but yeah, that makes sense. It's a lot easier than maybe like going out and trying to find something and then place it on your wall rather than you already have the outlet right there.
Getting on air, yeah, it's already in it. The building had old knob and tube. I mean, it's a 110-year-old structure.
Yeah,
and it had old knob and there was a family that lived in there. I mean, I hate to say it. It's 200 square feet. And there was a family that lived in there back in the 1910s, 1950s. That's where, that's kind of where the family lived. That were the servants, for the judge that built the house, the big house. So anyway, it's all it is 200 square feet. But it has old knob and tube wiring and things like that, which has already all been cut off. I've already had, I got a new box.
I've worked in electrical. I went down to some house around here in downtown Huntsville, and it's like cloth wiring from the 1910s. Like it was, right. that was scary when I went down there. Yeah, that was.
So it's still in there, and it kind of looks cool. And she's like, "Oh, you're gonna leave that in there? It's vintage." I said, "Yeah, no, it's coming out. I'm gonna rip that all off the ceiling."
Yeah.
And but we have already run some new electric. I got to run some more electric now for the mini split. But it has its own dedicated panel. It's all brand new electric, so don't worry, folks. I'm not going to burn myself down. It's all be new electric, and the only thing now I got to figure out is how I'm going to get the best internet possible out there, and whether or not I don't want to have another account. I got to figure out whether or not I can kind of get internet in there.
See, maybe if you could run a Ethernet line, maybe
how would I do that though? Where would I run it to? The main house has the main house is. What do you call it? Modem is up on the second level of the main house.
You'd probably have to come down off of it, and you'd probably have to put a little bit of, not conduit, but you could probably get away with putting like a flex or something.
I think it'd be too far to run from there. I gotta get my guy, and or maybe, I don't know. I gotta get a guy. I gotta get a guy to come over there from the Xfinity and see how I can do it. But anyway. So that project is underway, and we've actually started on it. And then I know she's going to end up doing some stuff while I'm gone in Dallas next week. But I'm looking forward to doing that little rental. Flip My Studio, that's what that ought to be called. Flip My Studio.
Dogs Flip the Studio. That'd be a cool show.
Yeah.
Get John to record it.
Yeah. And there'll be, and I told her, I said, look, if you go in there and start sanding anything today, because she's like, I think I might go in there and start sanding the walls, the shiplap walls. I go, take some pictures first. We want to do a little before and after, type of thing on that deal. All right, we're gonna get a break. This is a theme for this summer, if you know what I'm saying, Grizz. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This whole thing is a little bit of it has a theme to it, if you know what I'm saying. But that'll become apparent to our listeners here in the near future. All right, we're going to bring in here. When we come back, Mike Johnson, he's the play-by-play guy with the Colorado Buffaloes, year 2, prime, Coach Prime. How does that all look, and what do they need to do to kind of make sure that the bloom doesn't come off the flower? We'll talk to him next, live from Corralejos, right here on the Thom Abraham Show.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hi folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Hey folks, Bob Baumhauer here. We're extremely proud that Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving Alabama for 43 legendary years. Our motto is legendary fun, legendary food, and we strive to make every dining experience a special one for all of our guests. Our menu features delicious, always fresh and scratch-made in-house recipes. And of course, our award-winning wings and sauces. And don't forget, our happy hour and halftime daily specials cannot be beat. Baumhauer's Victory Grill, legendary fun, legendary food.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And welcome back to Corralejo's Mexican restaurant, where we broadcast today from. The segment of the show is brought to you by the fine folks at Minuteman Press. For all your printing needs and promotional needs, it's Minuteman Press. They do everything for the radio station. I was so impressed with what Minuteman Press does for the radio station that I actually used them for our church. There were some things we needed at the church. I said, wait a minute, I got a guy, Minuteman Press, and Jonathan Dunwoody and his team, and they did some stuff for us at the church. It was outstanding. So whatever your printing needs are, whether it's signage or whether it's paper needs and things like that, and printing checks, business checks, and so on, they do it all at Minuteman Press. Check them out. Governors is where you'll find your local Minuteman Press. All right, joining us now, a guy who does an outstanding job covering all things Colorado. He is the play-by-play voice for the Colorado Buffaloes. We talked to him last year when Coach Prime arrived on the scene. Mark Johnson is his name, and he joins us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mark, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, Tom, it's good to be on with you again. Yeah, a year into the Prime era, and nothing has, what we talked about last year, nothing's cooled down or settled down, or the energy still is as heightened as it was a year ago when we talked.
So they were in Vegas for Big 12 Media Days. Now, we're going to Prime Country. We're going to Dallas next week for SEC Media Days. 4 days. I don't know how they did 16 teams in 2 days in Vegas. You know what I mean? I'm not sure that we could do that in the SEC. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah,
no, it was a good couple of days, and I noticed coming out of Big 12 Media Days, I don't know who is more talked about, whether it's Mike Gundy or Deion Sanders for various reasons, but certainly some news was made there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, certainly, and Deion was the mature one in the room after the ridiculous comments by Mike Gundy. I'll get to that with my listeners a little bit later on, but Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. Yeah, I was watching. In fact, I watched the show last night. He's got his ranch out there in Texas still. And, of course, I'm a big-time bass fisherman. I host Bassmaster Radio nationally. And Deion has a couple of lakes on his property. And Skeeter Boat Company delivered him a bass boat, and they was fishing out there on the property and everything else. And he talked about his two sons that have bedrooms in the house that is on the property. And the boys' bedrooms are 1,000 square feet each.
Well, he's living a little bit different life than you and I and all of your listeners are. I guarantee you that.
Which in a way, you got to give him a lot of credit. Yeah, he's getting paid. He gets paid decent money, certainly, to be the head coach of Colorado. He didn't need this, though. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was, he was on the food stamps or something, and he needed to get this job so that he so that he can make some money. So from that aspect, you look at it and you say, of all of the coaches in college football, this is a guy that you can really say is doing this for the love of coaching and the love of the university, or at least the kids, because he doesn't need the money. That's for sure.
Well, no, but he certainly has been good for his brand. I'll say that. And I've seen somebody here around our area did a piece. It's got to be 3-4 months ago, and they were looking at the finances of what the brand of Dion has become, what Coach Prime has become. They figured that not just the $5.5 to $6 million salary he's getting from CU, but it's probably been somewhere in the $25 million range that his brand has increased directly, the money he's receiving from the coach at CU. So, yeah, he may love it, but he's not doing this for free, man, and he's getting a whole lot of money as a result of it. That's for certain. Yeah,
they also didn't go to the Big 12 for free. The story came out, and I assume it's true, but the story came out that basically Colorado got $2.5 million to go to the Big 12. The other schools, Utah, Arizona State, they didn't get that check. They didn't get that money. The idea was that if they got Colorado and Coach Prime to leave, that those schools would fall in line, which is exactly what they did. Was that much of a topic in Vegas, and is that story got truth to it?
Well, that story was floating around last year as well. When CU made the jump, there were a few reporters that stumbled upon that and reported that. Now, I've never got confirmation whether it was true or not, but now it's become such a kind of a common story out there. I guess everyone's assuming it's true at this point in time. It would make sense, though, and generally when you think about it, when the Big 12 was trying to woo everybody over there, they're looking for somebody to make the first jump, to be the linchpin that kind of lets everything loose, and Colorado was the first one to jump, and so I guess it would make sense that they sweeten the pot a little bit to get them the jumps that others would follow, and so that's, I don't know, certainly Coach Prime's brand carries some weight, as we well know, as we're just talking about, and so you can see where maybe Brent Yorkman was thinking, let's get that school with that guy. That's going to benefit us greatly from a television standpoint, from an audience standpoint. And so, why not sweeten the pot for them, and then others will follow it. So, like I said, I haven't had anybody flat out just tell me it is true, but certainly the indications are that it is.
So what you're saying is Mark Johnson didn't get the check. It wasn't like they scratched the check to you and said, okay, if you can influence them, we'll give you like a piece of this. We'll give you a lunch.
Listen, nobody's dropping bass boats off at my place. Let's just put it that way.
That's exactly right. Mark Johnson, he's play-by-play man for the Colorado Buffaloes. I think, obviously, there was all that buzz. We talked about it. Why am I talking to the play-by-play voice of the Colorado Buffaloes in SEC country? That's how big a story it was in college football. But I think it was really driven home last year when 10 million people watched the Colorado State game in the middle of the night, for everybody east of the Mississippi. I mean, it was at that point in time where, maybe this was even bigger than what you thought it would be when those TV numbers started popping out to watch these games.
Well, Tom, there's no doubt about it. Last year when you and I talked about this time of year, we're all getting ready for the season, and the hype machine is going full. Well, what we thought at that time was full blast, and then we got to the season, and you've got the Fox pregame show, and it's on Fox. The opening game against TCU down there, Colorado wins in dramatic fashion, and it exploded. And over the next few weeks, that game was followed by 2 home games. We had both the pregame shows in Boulder for one of those games. Fox came back the second week for another pregame show with Nebraska. The games were on national television. They were some of the most watched games of the season. Time Magazine was here. 60 Minutes was here. Every show, sports show on Fox Sports Net and ESPN were showing up and doing their shows live. It became the epicenter of college football. And, we knew there was going to be a lot of hoopla. But what happened to start the season, I don't think anybody could have predicted. and it was just a madhouse. Now, it didn't continue. Obviously, the season kind of tailed off a little bit, and the Bucs ended up with a 4-win season, but that was a fourfold increase from what they had a year before, and so, on many levels it was a success. But I know that, you talk to Prime, and he says, man, this is just what we do, and he's going to plans on building on that and taking more steps forward and making this even bigger. And he's a Pied Piper, so wherever he goes, the attention immediately follows, and that's just part of being around the Bucs football program right now.
We can't talk about that, though, without talking about this. There's been more turnover again, not nearly the turnover that there was for year one, but there has been more turnover. Some kids left. Some kids said that he didn't even know my name. We didn't see him. He is kind of a corporate head, if you will. We've seen videos of him. We saw the spring game. He's running around on the field. It appears that he's, coaching him up, and so on. But there was that little bit of chatter from some of the guys that left, and there's been more turnover. How is all of that playing over there as he continues to try and build this roster? And he was very adamant about making the point that, look, we brought in 17 high school freshmen, and I think 12 of them played last year.
Yep.
We had walk-on freshmen, 7 of them that played as well. So it wasn't just about, going out into transfer portal.
Well, the thing about it, Tom, is he's taking a different approach to this than really anybody else in college football. He's taking advantage of what the rules are. For the second year in a row, the Buffs had, I think, number one in the country in terms of players leaving and players coming in from a portal standpoint. The high school recruiting, he brought in a 5-star left tackle, number one tackle in America has come in, and then, Jordan Seaton, he's on the team now. And so he's gone after high-level guys, but he's doing it differently. I think the ratio between high school and portal is very different for what he does than anybody else. And so, initially there was kind of that sticker shock, if you will, for I think a lot of fans, like, whoa, why is everybody leaving? And then the influx of transfer guys comes in. And year number 2, it wasn't nearly as pronounced in terms of the reaction. Fans are kind of getting used to it. And so I think around college football here in Boulder, everyone's looking at it and going, wow, this is just the way Prime does things. I think around college football, everyone's looking at it and saying, what is going on? There must be something happening if you've got that many guys leaving every single year. But it seems to be by design in many respects. The way he looks at this is much more of a let's add players who have proven themselves to some degree at different programs. I know exactly what I'm getting, and then I'll go after select high school guys that appear to be very high-level guys that I think are going to be stars. And so that's kind of the way he approaches this thing. And it's very unorthodox. It's different than, like I said, virtually any other program in America. I saw somebody on Twitter the other day had a question, who's the king of transfer portal? And Lane Kiffin was on there, and Lincoln Riley and Prime. And then Lane Kiffin tweets out, hey, there's no doubt it's Coach Prime. So he's embraced this thing and kind of run with this process. And, it worked relatively well a year ago. We'll see if it can take more steps this year.
Voice of the Colorado Buffs, Mark Johnson, with us here talking about year 2 of Coach Prime. And, at the end of the day, though, it comes to the next step. Now, you won 4 games, went from a 1-win team to a 4-win team, and now the next step really is to make a bowl game. I think would be a reasonable next type of step. But they're going to have a ton of attention right off the top leading into the bye. You got the game at Nebraska, which is, old-time rivalry. I hope they keep playing Nebraska. I wish Nebraska was down there in that Big 12 as well. But that game at Nebraska, week 2, not sleeping on North Dakota State either. They're a machine in 1AA. But then they go to Colorado State, and of course there was that little bit of angst around that game. That game is a rivalry game always, but also the coaches, kind of going back and forth. Then Baylor, which is right there in Texas, their first game in the Big 12 against a Big 12 opponent. And then he goes home to Florida, to play UCF all before the bye. I mean, it seems like, 3 or 4 games that are going to get a ton of attention right off the bat.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And you look at this, and I've been asked frequently about the move to the Big 12. Pac-12 was a very good football conference, had the best quarterback conference, I think, in the country. I think everyone agrees on that from a year ago based on kind of the draft picks. And so, people look at the Big 12 and say, well, okay, is there really an elite team in there? I don't know if you can look out and say, okay, there's Michigan or Georgia or Alabama or one of the elite teams that we've kind of become accustomed to in recent years. But I don't know if there's a gimme on the schedule either. I think, Brett Yorkman, obviously he's going to promote the Big 12. He said over the weekend he thinks it's the deepest conference. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I do think it is a conference without what appears to be any bad team at this point in time. And so you look at that schedule that Colorado has. You mentioned North Dakota State. They've got a real bad habit of going into Power 5 schools and taking $1 million check and a W on the way home. I mean, they do that frequently, and so that's a challenging game. At Nebraska is going to be out just off the charts. Colorado State. Then you mentioned getting the Big 12, and so it is a very challenging schedule. And so for him to look at this thing and go 6, 7, or 8 wins and get to a bowl game and maybe a solid bowl game, and who knows beyond that. He talks about competing for a Big 12 championship. That's going to be a heck of a step this year. And so I think he's very optimistic. Fans are optimistic, and I'm glad I'm going to be sitting, field side and calling these ball games, getting a chance to watch this thing unfold.
He's got a quarterback that's going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL, who also, of course, is his son, Shedeur. Offensively, they were able to do almost what they wanted last year. They were very powerful offensively, but defensively, which is Prime's thing, he must have been throwing up a little bit in his mouth to watching his way his defense played at times last year. What have they done, or how can they shore up a defense going into a conference that has always been a very offensive-minded conference? I mean, if you can keep people under 30, you got a chance to win every game.
That's right. Yeah, well, without question. And I think there's 2 areas of real interest going into fall camp here as we get into August here in just a few weeks. First off, on the offensive side, you're right. They were potent offensively, but the offensive line play was horrible. Shedeur was the most sacked quarterback in America. That can't continue, obviously, in 2024. On the defensive side, that front has to be addressed. And secondarily, on the defensive side, the linebacking core. Now, again, the transfer portal has been active, and they've brought in a lot of guys. Now, the question is, at this point, are they improvements from what they had a year ago? That's tough to say. Most of them came in after the spring game, so none of us have even seen these guys play. They were relatively productive where they came from, so there is improved depth, I think, in the defensive front, the linebacking core. The secondary was pretty solid, led by Travis Hunter, who might be as dynamic a player as there is in college football. And so, you've got to have better line play in 2024, and you have to have much improved defensive play, much more consistency on that side of the ball this upcoming season.
All right, finally, if we set the bowl game as the bar, if they miss that, if they're a 4 or 5 win type team, again, I mean, at what point does the grumbling start and say, okay, this has been fun for 2 years, the flash, but we've got to be better? Or do you think that there is, very much patience to allow Prime to do what he thinks he needs to do to make this a team that can compete in the Big 12?
Well, I think there'll be some grumbling. I mean, in college athletics or in sports, period, we understand that. Not everyone's going to be happy all the time. So if this is a 4 or 5 win team, you're going to start to hear some of that. However, the type of dynamic personality he has, the type of salesman he is, the fan base here at the University of Colorado and throughout the Centennial State is going to continue to support this guy. But I would be shocked, quite honestly, if he didn't hit 6 this year. I've been saying I think this is a 7 or 8 win team by the time it's all said and done against a very challenging schedule. Going to have to get a break or 2 here and there, make sure the injuries. Certainly, Shedeur Sanders cannot get hurt, so that offensive line play is going to be of supreme importance, obviously. But I still think this is a bowl team, and I'm pretty confident in that. And, boy, if he can do that in 2 years, get this to a 7-win team in 2 years from where it was, the most irrelevant program in college football, that's a heck of a job over the course of 2 football seasons. And everyone at Buff Nation will be throwing a party at that point.
And I'll give you the fear factor that Alabama fans live with Nate Oates. Let's go the other way. I mean, if they get to 8, let's just say, let's just say he goes 8-4, is there a fear factor that we can't hang on to him? I mean, because jobs open up every year. Is there a bigger, sexier job that's in Texas or Florida or someplace where you feel like you could lose the guy? I mean, or is there a sense that, if he were to make a big move like that, he is, 100% all in with CU?
Well, and that's always a possibility. Here's the thing that I've always thought about that. He's got a very nice situation here. He's got total control. He knows exactly what he's doing. The administration is 100% behind him. He really does. You talk to him privately. He loves this area. He's got a great place. Speaking of his fishing, he's got a pond on his place here. Does some fishing. He's up in the mountains, snowmobiling all the time, and so he really seems to fall in love with this. I'm not so concerned that and I know he said this is not going to happen, but I'm not concerned about him taking a college job. I'm concerned of him looking at the NFL. And that's always been something in the back of my mind. I don't know that he'd go someplace else for college. I think this was unique because of his kids playing for him, and it was a great challenge for him. And if he gets this thing rolling, he can sit here in a beautiful area. Boulder's about as nice a community as you're going to find in the country. But I've always wondered about that next level. We all know about great athletes, Tom. They love proving people wrong. They love that. The Michael Jordans and Tiger Woods and Peyton Mannings of the world, those guys thrive on that kind of thing. And I've always wondered if that might not be an itch where people say, well, okay, he did it in college, fine. He did it at Jackson, okay, but can he do it at the Power 5 level? Okay, if he does it here, sure, he's done it in college, but, I bet he couldn't do it in the NFL. I've always wondered about that in the back of his mind.
Has it been good for you? I mean, from a media standpoint, I've been a play-by-play guy as well, and it's nice to be able to get, that kind of access to the head coach and get that inside info and all that kind of stuff. How has it been, for Mark Johnson, the broadcaster, to work with the staff?
Well, you're dealing with a different creature here. In these roles, as you well know, we're always used to, you get a lot of alone time with those guys. Prime's not that way. I mean, he's a corporation. He's a brand. And so when we sit down and do something, we'll get the time. But he walks in with his, handlers and his marketing people and his agents and his assistants and on. They come walking in 2 minutes before we sit down. We sit down, we do it, and as soon as I out cue, folks like, all right, Coach, we got to go. And he's like, all right, Mark, I'll see you later, and he walks out. So he's always very easy to deal with, but he's got 10,000 balls in the air, and once he's done with his assignment with me, he moves on to the next deal.
Does he do a coaching show out there?
Yeah,
you out at a restaurant with him doing the show? I mean, because Nick Saban was at Baumhauer's every single Tuesday night or Thursday night, answering questions from the field. So he does one of those.
We did a coaching show last year. We got one scheduled for this upcoming season. It was jam-packed for the first time in Colorado history. They were selling tickets for people to be there. It was sold out every single week. Wow. It was a little unnerving from my perspective because by association I'd get a text from a friend of mine who would say, hey, by the way, you're on the front page of the TMZ website today or the front page of the New York Post. I'm like, what in the world? Well, then I realized it was because Prime said something, and those video clips were being posted all over the country. And so, he's a newsmaker. Everything he does is I always say, if he makes his eggs in the morning, it's front page news. And just by association, you kind of are along for that ride. And so, it's interesting doing that show. You better be on your toes. Topics that you can never imagine will come out of left field he wants to talk about. And so you just kind of ride that thing for the entire show. But he was there every week, 12 weeks last year, and the crowd was certainly entertained.
Always a pleasure. Mark Johnson has been our guest. Mark, I appreciate you so much. Great stuff. And have a great season. Enjoy the ride, my friend.
All right, I will do, Tom. Take care. Bye.
All right, thank you. Boy, I tell you, he's got the pipe, doesn't he? I mean, immediately that's a college football play-by-play guy as soon as he opens up his mouth.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? On the phone. I mean, on the phone. It's just as clear.
He's got a great
Anywhere
pipe.
he goes.
It reminds me of, back in the day, well, even today, I mean, you'd be surprised that these guys don't make the kind of money that you might think they do when they're the voice of a team. Usually, many times they're hired on a job basis, a game-by-game basis. I mean, I remember talking to Eli Gold about this back in the past. He got paid X amount of dollars per game to do. He wasn't an employee of the university per se, as a full-time guy. He was a contract employee that got paid per game, and you'd be surprised, at what that number was. But guys would do different things to make extra money. And I remember Gene Deckerhoff, who was the voice of Florida State and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Gene did all of Florida State sports, basketball, baseball, and everything. He had a service. He had a great pipe, and you could have Gene Deckerhoff record your message for your answering machine or for your cell phone, back when we had answering machines, and then for your cell phone. And you could have something where, it was, you'd say your name and it's not available, leave a message, and, go Bucks or whatever it is that they were going to say. All right, we'll get a break in here. We are at Corralejos Mexican Restaurant. This is the place to be. Nice crowd here for lunch today. I will feed the first two that show up that say, hey, dog, feed me. If you come on by, we'll take care of you. We'll get you fed here at Corralejos. And, again, tomorrow you can buy $50 worth of Corralejos for $25 from Zone Deals. I'm just warning you. This one goes very fast. I mean, it will be gone in 5 minutes. So you better be with your phone in hand at 8 a.m. tomorrow if you want to get some Coralejos chow. All right, we'll get a break in here. We'll come back with more. We'll throw the phone lines open for the first time, 256-576-4977. This is the Thom Abraham Show.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? My phone rings in my office.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're the ones who take your call.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Owen Home Appliance Center features the biggest names in home appliances like Viking, Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, GE, and Frigidaire. But they also have great brands that you may not know, like Mela, Forno, Z-Line, Invisicook, and Beko. But no matter what, they all get delivered the day you buy, and they service everything they sell. And at the Lacey Spring Showroom, just 8 miles south of the river on 231, you'll find a totally interactive showroom where you can hear the dishwashers wash, and the freezer's free, and see the cookies get baked in the double ovens. Owen Home Appliance Center will even wash and dry a load of clothes for you so that you can see how great the products are. And they have ice machines making all kinds of ice, cubed, nugget, and top hat. How is that for variety? Owen Home Appliance Center believes in community involvement as well, sponsoring youth teams, race cars, and an annual Easter egg hunt. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service is the name of the game for Owen Home Appliance Center. Find them in Somerville and Lacey Springs and online at owenappliance.com.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative. Located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville, our brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, our diverse menu has something to please every palate. With a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, we invite you to savor the unique flavors of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative. Call 256-678-7036. The Brewers Cooperative.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Join us next week, live from Dallas, for SEC Media Days. 9 hours a day of coverage on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
Throwback Thursday, we're using all SEC theme music. SEC Media Days coming up next week. You know, it's freezer season over at Owen Home Appliance Center, so if rising temps have that freezer on its last leg, check out the name brand frost-free, upright, and chest freezers over at Owen Home Appliance. They've got them in stock. They're ready to go. They're going to deliver to you. And, look, You got that deer in there. You got that half a cow you bought. You got all that high-dollar food in that freezer. You don't want it to go to waste when your freezer fails. And while supplies last, you can get a $50 gift card towards the purchase of Wagyu beef from Owen Home Appliance Center. You can buy everything they've got over there except for the outdoor kitchen. I got dibs on the outdoor kitchen. It's Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality services right there in the name. So, Grizz, the guy, the big voice guy there that just did the promo for our, Deep in the Heart of Texas coverage for next week.
Yeah.
He said 9 hours a day of coverage from SEC Media Days. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, why do I say 12? I mean, stop me when I'm lying. 7 to 9.
Yeah.
Right? That's talking ball.
Right.
9 to 10.
1.
That'll be the morning blitz from there.
So that's 3 hours.
That's 3. 10 to noon is Chuck Oliver. He's there. All right?
Yeah.
Am I lying yet?
So that's
No.
2.
Okay, that's 2 more. Thom Abraham show from noon to 2.
Another 2.
There. That's another 2. That there, Paul Finnbaum, he will be from 2 until 5 there. And then you got that there, the drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton.
Yeah.
And that is from 5 until 7, which to me, I think I just went from 7 to 7. I think it's 12 hours of coverage a day from SEC Media Days.
Realistically, it's 12 hours a day. It is 12 hours of coverage, throughout. Yeah, and you get that extra if whatever going on that night, if we're not doing the Braves or something's going on, because I think that Monday is that's All-Star week.
We have the Home Run Derby Monday night, and then we have the All-Star Game Tuesday night.
We may get a little Paul before, so you might get that last extra. So you might get 30 minutes to an hour, maybe. Who knows?
You mean the last Paul hour?
The last
in
Paul
replay.
hour.
Yeah, right. That could happen overnight. So, but I think it's 12 hours a day. I'm not sure where the 9 came from, unless I said 9, and that's why he wrote it as 9. But, I mean, I didn't write the promo. I did say 9. I think I might have told. But it's really 12 hours a day of coverage from there. I mean, that is –
wow.
That's wow is right.
Yeah, all day. Just listen to the radio. That's all you got. That's all you need.
All day. All day is right. All right, hour number 1 is in a hopper. When we return, Jake Thompson's joining us from omspirit.com. He covers the Ole Miss Rebels. There's more hype about Ole Miss this year than there has been in any recent memory. Remember, when Hugh Freeze had it going on there, I think they kind of came out of the woodwork. Whereas this year, heading into the season, a lot of hype about the Rebs. We'll talk about that next. Right here on the Thom Abraham Show.
This is Brent Musburger on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
In Phoenix on Tuesday, the Braves beat the Diamondbacks 6-2. Chris Sale got the win. He's 12-3 overall. 9 strikeouts over 5 1/3. 2 runs allowed on 5 hits. On the other side, Zach Gallen 6-5 with the loss. He gave up 4 runs on 7 hits over 5 1/3. Adam Duvall hit a 3-run homer for Atlanta. That came in the 6th. The series continues tonight at Chase Field in Phoenix. Next up in the rotation for Atlanta, it's right-hander Charlie Morton. For the Diamondbacks, Slade Ciccone penciled in to start. Arizona plus 115, Atlanta minus 135. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
Nope.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Download the Talk Radio WZZN app and catch every pitch of the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Now a launch job into deep right. Back on it goes Veras. He's at the tracks. He looks up and it's out of here. Joyce ready to go again. Next offering. Fastball swung and missed. That one launched deep left. Allen won't even try. He'll watch it leave the yard. Pitch is ripped. Deep center field. Back on it goes Tatum. At the track, looks up, and it's out of here. A home run.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
And welcome back, hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. Corralejo's Mexican Restaurant is where we are at. It will be on Zone Deals in the morning. Get ready to crush that because these things will not last long. Come on by. I still got a couple of gift certificates to feed you. If you want to come on by the show here today at Corralejo's, we'll take care of you as well. This segment of the show is brought to you by the service department at Woody Anderson Ford, the award-winning service department at Woody Anderson Ford. They can take care of not only routine checkups, but if you have a bigger issue, the expert service technicians are going to quickly diagnose that, and they're going to use state-of-the-art tools to resolve it, and they can take care of all your preventative maintenance, plus do bigger jobs, brake jobs, transmission repair as well. It's all done at Woody Anderson Ford. And don't forget the quick lane service as well for after-hours service, and on the weekends they can take care of you there. It's Woody Anderson Ford. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com to learn more. All right, Jake Thompson covers the Ole Miss Rebels. There's a lot of hype about Ole Miss right now. Connor O'Gara, I haven't given you the whole list. Connor O'Gara has them as one of the 4 SEC teams to make the playoff this upcoming season, and Jake joins us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jake, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, and yes, you are on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline, and yes, that is the daddy of your defensive backs coach there at Ole Miss as well. So there is certainly a connection to the Rebs. Am I lying if I say, it felt like when Hugh Freeze was there and they beat Alabama a couple of times, and they were close to making it to the SEC championship game. They had made it to number 1 at one point. They kind of came out of nowhere a little bit when that happened. This year, this seems like maybe the most hyped Rebel team that we have heard about in quite a while. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. When it felt like Freeze was maybe building the program to where this is now, but obviously then you were fighting uphill. It wasn't a 12-team playoff, and he wasn't having the transfer portal, so there was a lot of variables and factors not there. But yeah, this is the most preseason hyped expectation, leveled up that I think this Ole Miss team has had since maybe 2009, which was when they were last preseason top 10, had the Sports Illustrated cover with Jevin Sneed and Houston and them were rolling, and had that primetime game against South Carolina early in October, and then it all kind of went downhill from there. But I think since then, 15 years later, it's taken for them to get to where they are, and once again also have a South Carolina game on the road in October. So there's a lot of parallels. But it's been a fun summer, and it's one that everybody's just ready to kind of put the tee down and kick it off come August 31st.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. A lot of that hype is because they've got a veteran quarterback coming back, and that seems to be a really big deal in college football these days. He's not the only one that's back. Of course, Alabama and Georgia, they've got quarterbacks back. Auburn's got a quarterback back. But Jackson Dart, talk about him and where he's at now going into this season.
Third year under this system, decided to come back, made that big New Year's Day announcement after the Peach Bowl, and, didn't see much in the spring because it was a very unique, modified spring under Kiffin, as everybody kind of saw with Joey Chestnut coming. And so it's hard to see where he is just from another spring removed from a season. But mentally and just from a leadership standpoint, he is kind of checking all the boxes and doing all the right things and knows what this season means, not just for him and his future next year professionally, but for this program and where they can leave it moving forward. And he is the guy right now. And it's been a while since Ole Miss has kind of had the guy quarterback. They had the Matt Corral, and then they had Chet Kelly and then Eli, but there hasn't been one that's kind of getting the consistent buzz that Dart is getting. And and it's deserved. I think he's fully healthy. It's been a while since he's been completely healthy heading into an August fall camp. And that excites him, and that now he sees all the weapons he's got with the returners and the transfer portal additions with Juice Wells and potentially Deion Smith out of JUCO, one of the top JUCO receivers this past season. So it's got him motivated, and I think he's at that position where he can contend with the top names in the league with Beck and Milroe and even nationally. So it's going to be a fun year to see what he does in this third season.
What is going on between Kiffin and Paul Feinbaum? Is this Feinbaum always had this kind of an attitude about Kiffin? Because I always thought Kiffin did great appearances on the Feinbaum show. He had some fun with him last year, talking about thanks Paul, for the rat poison and all that kind of stuff. But Feinbaum doesn't seem to hold Kiffin in very high regard. It doesn't even think he's a funny guy, and most people think that Lane Kiffin is kind of a funny guy. What's it more?
It depends on which month or week that you ask Paul, because a month or so ago when the summer started, he put out a positive, kind of glowing quote or thoughts about Ole Miss and the college football playoffs. And then this past week, I don't know, I know he was on somebody's show, but offered up those comments that kind of caught fire and and insulted Kiffin, saying he's not funny, and the media loves him, but he doesn't love him. But I think it stems back to I noticed something last year, not this past spring meetings, but I guess 2023 spring meetings when Kiffin was on Paul's show down in Destin, and Paul tried to bring up that the bit that they keep going to from 10 years ago or longer now from South Carolina and the Miley Cyrus comment and all this and that on that game day and this and that. And Kiffin seemed like he's kind of evolved or moved past that and just didn't want to keep drudging that up. And that seemed to kind of stagnate that whole segment. And I think, Paul likes to keep, jabbing him with that. And Kiffin seems to, kind of matured, so to speak, and ready to kind of focus on the important stuff and then not do that. And maybe that's stuck in his crawl for a year and a half. I'm not sure. But I fully expect Monday on SEC Network, when it's Ole Miss's time at the media days, that the tune will be 180 again.
Yeah. I mean, we have to also acknowledge the fact that Paul is a graduate of the University of Tennessee. And, Kiffin, kind of did that one and done at Tennessee. So maybe deep down inside there's some resentment about that. I don't know. Now, he did make a comment that I don't think is an unfair comment. He said, Paul Feinbaum said that this season is a failure if Ole Miss does not make the college football playoff. I mean, is that a fair assessment to say that this season would be graded as a failure without being one of the 12 teams in the playoff?
Oh no, I mean he's not the first one to have said that. It's been said by us, by other beat writers and other national guys that with this all-in approach that they've kind of done with the transfer portal and the guys they brought in, and now they're kind of focusing on next year's recruiting with the high school guys and the commitments they get in the summer. But for a while, it was all eyes are on 2024. Putting all their chips in the middle and see what happens after that. I mean, it started with that Dart video that I referenced earlier, where he labeled this as the last dance, to play off that Chicago Bulls documentary, and so that got everybody kind of talking and wondering what's happening after 2024. But no, it's tunnel vision. The blinders are on, and everybody's right that says it. If they're not one of the 12 come December when they announce the college football field, it will have been a failure with all the efforts and the moves and the roster that they've got for this year.
Yeah, and it's an interesting schedule when you look at it, the way it sets up. I mean, there's a pretty good sprint, I think, out of the gate. They're not going to get pushed early on. Kentucky is a legit team, but they get them at Ole Miss. Got that game at South Carolina. That could be, that's always a potential stumbling block, but they'll be favored. They'll be a slight favorite, I believe, in that game, which then sends them to Baton Rouge, potentially at 6-0, right? I mean, that's the mindset right now. Is it, and you get to that Baton Rouge bye, and then Oklahoma coming into Ole Miss, that they could be 6-0 at that point, which would probably have them, firmly in the top 10.
Yeah, no, you're right. Kentucky is still that Kentucky, but I don't think they're as scary as they have been. And it's at Oxford, so that helps. But starting with that South Carolina game and then bleeding into Baton Rouge, back-to-back SEC away games, and then that Baton Rouge game is somewhere between in that 5 and 7 new night window, so it's nighttime at Tiger Stadium. Those are their first two litmus tests, so to speak, of where if they're going to do what we've all been talking about that they should do or expected to do, and if they can get through that and get to that bye week ahead of Oklahoma, I think that sets them up for a big margin of error. Not that they want to lose to Georgia again, but if they did lose to Georgia, they have those wins ahead of them before they get to them in their pocket, and gives them a little wiggle room. Because I think 10-2 would get them in. But, of course, we don't know what's going to happen until these 12 weeks transpire and what other teams do and how they're ranked. But, I think there is room for error if they can get through the middle of October with a perfect record.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that, then you got the Georgia game, which will be back at Ole Miss. So if they, at the very worst, split the two games between LSU and Oklahoma, Georgia comes in, and then the rest of it looks manageable. Florida, yes, is down at Gainesville. I get it, but Florida is not your daddy's Florida. And then, of course, the Egg Bowl, which will be back there in Oxford. So I think you're right. I mean, I can't see a scenario where a 10-2 SEC team is not a playoff team.
Yeah, I know that buzz kind of started of it wouldn't be enough, but I think that's people just trying to be the contrarian, as there always is. You can't knock them for it. But I think 10-2, any SEC team, and I think Ole Miss will be one of those top 4 teams in the standings with Georgia, Texas, and maybe Alabama or LSU. I think in Alabama, but one of those top 4. So if you're a 10-2 team in top 4, I think you're in. It's just a matter of, do you get that extra week off and get to go to Atlanta and win, or do you not? And you got to play, all 4 weeks.
Yeah, that would be an interesting scenario. Although some people think that having that home game might not be a terrible thing, and then you get a little bit of a gap before you go to the quarterfinal game. So we'll just have to see how it shakes out. It is weird looking at the schedule and not seeing Alabama on there and not seeing Auburn on there, right? I mean, these ideas, everything comes out, and we see these great plans that we're going to have and the expanded league. And I'm a big fan of Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league. But then when they go into action and you actually see it happening, you might have different thoughts about it a little bit. When you look down at the schedule and don't see those teams, those 2 Alabama schools coming in or being played, it just feels a little weird.
Yeah, no, it's very weird. I mean, for anybody my age and older, I'm mid to late 30s, and everybody older, they're all just accustomed to those 3 teams playing each other every fall. I mean, it's just how it's been for about 3 decades now. And so not getting Alabama, Auburn, and for Ole Miss too, they're going to miss having Vanderbilt on that schedule. That was always kind of one they're like, all right, we can maybe get that one if we had a tough week before, or we have a tough week after. We can kind of get that one and maybe take it easy in the second half. But they don't have them, and I think also what helps them is I don't know what Mike Elko is going to do, but not having A&M on the schedule might also be a positive. But to your point, after watching how they play and you see a sample size, they may go, well, we wish we'd rather had an Alabama, Auburn, or A&M if South Carolina looks really good, or Oklahoma is better than some are thinking they will be their first year. So it is that kind of bittersweetness to it, but time will tell in a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Time will tell. Give me a name or two of a guy or two that may burst onto the scene that we're not talking about as much with Ole Miss.
I look for Ulysses Bentley, to kind of take the mantle. They're kind of doing a running back by committee after losing Judkins to the portal and to Ohio State. They got Bentley coming back, and then they got Henry Parrish that came back from Miami. After spending a couple of years in Miami, he's back to finish up his career at Ole Miss. And so, but I think Bentley will turn heads. I know he's being talked about, but maybe not as much as a Dart or Trey Harris or some of the guys on defense. And then another name on defense, I think Suntarine Perkins is going to take that next step. I know he looked great that first half against Alabama. And then, when Kiffin had him as a spy, in that position, kind of following Milroe, I think if they can utilize him in that capacity, on a game-by-game basis, I think if they can just scheme him to what he's best at, he's going to break out and have the season I think a lot of thought he'd have his freshman year after being, the top defensive prospect in Mississippi.
And finally, you mentioned Quinshon Judkins. He's a kid from Pike Road, Alabama, over here, played at Pike Road High School, and he my daddy used to tell me when I was a kid and I told him I was going to leave, he'd say, don't let the screen door hit you on the ass on the way out. It feels like that's a little bit of what the mindset was in Oxford. I mean, it wasn't like they were killing themselves to try and keep this kid from going. How much of this was straight NIL, straight cash deal, and how much of it had to do with the fact that, maybe this was a time that everybody needed a kind of a fresh outlook?
Just from everything we kind of heard once we kind of heard the rumblings that he may hit the portal, and then once he did and he left, and then we talked some more to some people, it feels like it was kind of a mixture of things, maybe a addition by subtraction for some, or a removal of a headache in certain aspects, that kind of thing. And you're right, kind of the same way, not specifically that phrase, but Kiffin has said a couple times during spring when asked about portal, guys or just portaling itself. He said, and it kind of went under the radar, and it wasn't really, I don't think people caught it, but he said once really, really specifically, we've never lost anybody we wanted to keep here. And I think that was kind of his one way of saying, I'm going to say this, and that's it. And I think that's kind of how they viewed it. They had never let somebody get away that they didn't want to keep here in Oxford.
They say his NIL deal is worth, $529,000, according to you guys at On3. Which is, believe it or not, barely in the top 100 in college football. I mean, it tells you where we're at. Kiffin has always talked about the NIL and the ability to compete. Is there a sense that Ole Miss has picked up the pace there and are able to do what they need to do to keep top players from a money standpoint?
Yeah, the Grove Collective, which is ran by Walker Jones over here, they were kind of one of the first few to get ahead of everything when this NIL thing became a reality. I think Florida, passed it into law first, and Mississippi was shortly after, and then everybody else kind of started following suit once they realized this wasn't going to be like a passing trend for a week. But, the Grove Collective's done a great job. We've seen the names are brought in. You got Walter Nolan, Princely, Umami Ellen out of Florida, and Juice Wells from South Carolina on offense. So they've gotten splashy guys year in, year out. But this year they've kind of used it to get guys to fill roles, not just straight up flashy names or, the flashy skill position names. They've gotten some potentially good gets for the defensive backs and the secondary, in an area that's been trouble, and they've filled some holes at linebacker with it. So Kiffin seems to have been managing this like it is an NFL personnel type thing. What do we need to fix? And we're not going to just get in a bidding war for somebody if we think we can get somebody else that's not, asking for the entire bag, so to speak. So it has been fun to watch them kind of navigate this and see now. Obviously, everybody else is kind of catching up to it. Ole Miss isn't running away from everybody like they used to in this. So there are those teams that are kind of making it a little more difficult for Kiffin to get commitments, but they have been kind of ahead of it. Now we'll see how they do after this year. It's 2025 and forward that I think will be the big question.
Now, according to On3, Jackson Dart's getting $143,000, and he's worth $1.6 million. Is that $143K? Does that sound like a reasonable number to you? That you think that that's the right number that he's getting?
Yeah, I believe so, and I don't know how live those are. Like, I don't know how often they're updated. I'm sure they're updated frequently. That's by the mothership, so to speak. I don't know specifically what he's getting, but I know he's announced a deal with Dick's Sporting Goods the other day, some kind of back-to-school campaign. He's going to do a commercial with Kay Adams, I guess, who does that from NFL Network and some other places. So I think that's probably going to bump up as he's gotten some other stuff over the summer. So I don't think it'll stay that low for very long.
All right, man. Great stuff. Jake Thompson's been our guest. Jake, I appreciate you joining us and helping us out a little bit with Ole Miss.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, thank you. It's a good one, Grizz. Hold that. You need to keep that name in your book there. I thought that was interesting, the NIL number. Jackson Dart at $143,000 with a valuation of $1.6 million. Some of these guys are woefully under. Not too many guys are over their amount of money that they're allegedly worth. Travis Hunter at Colorado, his valuation is $2.7 million. This is a year. $2.7 million. He's making $2.3 million. He has $2.3 million in NIL deals. The most right now is Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders has an On3 NIL valuation of $4.9 million. And he has deals in place for $2.5 million.
Excuse me?
He's got $2.5 million.
It's crazy.
I don't know. Well, these collectives or whatever it is here.
You just say he's getting paid from On3, though.
No.
Okay.
This is
or is this an On3?
No, this is On3's valuation.
Okay.
What they're saying a guy's worth and what they know he's getting.
Yeah.
On3 has put a
I've seen these
valuation.
before,
on every player, and then they tell you what they're getting. For example, that's his followers. He's got 1.8 million followers on Instagram.
Right.
607 million to TikTokers, and 66,000 on X.
Which I wonder how much of the monetizing he's making from TikTok and Instagram.
I don't know.
Because I bet you he's making more than he is Twitter.
Well, yeah, you would think with those numbers.
Yeah, with those other two brands.
But somebody's rolling cash out. That's not just monetizing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody must be rolling. Now here's a guy, the number 2 highest valuation from On3 is Arch Manning, who's taken like 6 snaps in his college football career. He supposedly is worth $2.8 million a year. Arch Manning has only $302,000 in NIL. But again, he hasn't even taken a snap yet.
I just feel like I think that last name means everything, because the last 2 people that you just said, both of their parents or relatives or whatever were really good and they got tons of money. Bronny James is getting all this hype and money throughout college because who was his dad? LeBron James. Yeah. So I just, some of these make sense, but I just always wonder what the return on investment is on some of these players when, you're just throwing money at these kids, and I get it, make your money, but it's like, what is the value in some of these kids? Like, what if, like a lot of people say all the time, what if they're a flop? What is the point? I get it. I guess it's like gambling at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You're just gambling your money on these players.
Jalen Milroe is worth $2.7 million a year,
and he's earned it.
But he's getting only $223,000.
Wow.
For Milroe. Yeah, I mean, and he's not on TikTok. He's
Yeah.
got 200,000. He's only got compared to the other guy. Like
That's
Travis
his problem.
Hunter
He's
has
on TikTok.
he's like Travis Hunter has 1.3 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe has 200,000, and he has only 21,000 on
Gotta get those
Twitter.
numbers up.
Got to get those numbers up on the X. Carson Beck is another one that's woefully underpaid, according to this. $1.6 million valuation. Carson Beck is getting $118,000 right now in deals. That's where he's at right now. Now, you want the other side of it. Figure this one out. Evan Stewart.
Yeah.
Evan Stewart is a wide receiver out at Oregon, right? Evan Stewart's valuation is $1.3 million. They say he's worth $1.3 million a year.
I wonder what
Evan Stewart is making $2.4 million.
I wonder what A&M was paying him.
Not $2.4 million. Well, who knows?
Yeah, he might have been getting paid $2.4 million. He just got a better opportunity in Oregon or something.
He
The
might
coach
have been
being
getting
gone.
a bag. Yeah, see some other ones that are interesting one way or the other. Caden Proctor. All right, Caden Proctor, right? The big left tackle and All-American as a freshman. Valuation is $1.1 million. He is making $71,000.
He didn't want that Iowa money. He wanted that Bama money.
It's only $71,000. How about Tyler Booker?
The linemen probably don't get enough.
I got to talk to Tyler Booker. He's going to be at SEC Media Days. I'm going to get with that kid. Tyler Booker has a valuation of $1.1 million. Tyler Booker is getting $16,000 right now in NIL money. $16,000.
Yeah, I think some of these linemen obviously don't get paid enough, but I think Tyler Booker has certainly earned it, and I think Caden Proctor is probably getting there. I think, obviously he'll probably be in the 1 point whatever millions or maybe $2 million by next year when he's, looking at when he's getting looked at.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he will make the money or
Yeah,
not.
It depends on how his season
It
goes.
depends on how, and whether or not they're, what kind of agents that they have. How about
Right.
Shiloh Sanders?
Yeah.
All right, Shiloh Sanders is the safety at Colorado, Deion's other son. He doesn't have 3 sons, by the way. Travis Hunter is not Deion Sanders' son, okay? For those of you that know they got 3 sons, and they keep talking about his 3 sons, and somebody asked him a question at the media days, you got 3 sons on the team. Travis Hunter is not Deion Sanders' son. I wonder what Travis Hunter's actual parents feel about him constantly saying that he's my son. He's your son like the whole team is your son, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Shiloh Sanders is, in fact, Deion Sanders' son. Shiloh Sanders is the one. He filed bankruptcy. What 20-year-old kid files bankruptcy?
I thought it was like to get out of a lawsuit or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes. So Shiloh Sanders' valuation, his NIL valuation is $1 million. His deals are $1.4 million. Shiloh Sanders has $1.4 million in NIL deals.
Yeah.
While Tyler Booker has $16,000.
Yeah.
This system is.
Because who's Tyler Booker's dad? You know what I mean? Like who? And then that's the thing. It's like Tyler Booker, heck of a better athlete than Shiloh Sanders at the position, obviously, or just probably a better athlete, probably a better draft pick that you want to pick in the NFL draft. And I just think that, like I said, I just think in general, though, offensive linemen get underpaid no matter what, So.
Yeah, these deals are crazy, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and they're better than some,
nuts.
they're better than some rookie deals get. They're better than, it's just, it's better than some guys that, sign on to a pro football team and stuff like that, just, based off of, maybe I stay one more year in college because of who I am and, who my dad is, or just like what team I'm playing for.
Well, at some point in time, you gotta say, whether or not, what does an NFL contract look like for you at that point. But a lot of these numbers are much lower than what you would think. The quarterback from Notre Dame, Riley Leonard, the kid that transferred over from Duke, he's only getting $40,000.
Yeah,
it's $40,000 out of $1 million valuation. $40,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I thought I saw him last year when he was with Duke. I thought he was higher than that, but I could have been wrong. I swear I thought he was higher when he was with Duke, but
according to this
wrong.
list, that's what he's making. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, so if we are to project the field of 12, what does Connor O'Gara think that looks like? We'll let you know. Phone lines go open as well, so if you want to jump on board, this is a good time to get into the show. You can do it right now at 256-576-4977. I'm Thom Abraham. This is the Thom Abraham Show.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Owen Home Appliance Center features the biggest names in home appliances like Viking, Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, GE, and Frigidaire. But they also have great brands that you may not know, like Mela, Forno, Z-Line, Invisicook, and Beko. But no matter what, they all get delivered the day you buy, and they service everything they sell. And at the Lacey Springs showroom, just 8 miles south of the river on 231, you'll find a totally interactive showroom where you can hear the dishwashers wash, and the freezer's free, and see the cookies get baked in the double ovens. Owen Home Appliance Center will even wash and dry a load of clothes for you so that you can see how great the products are. And they have ice machines making all kinds of ice, cubed, nugget, and top hat. How is that for variety? Owen Home Appliance Center believes in community involvement as well, sponsoring youth teams, race cars, and an annual Easter egg hunt. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service is the name of the game for Owen Home Appliance Center. Find them in Somerville and Lacey Springs and online at owenappliance.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day, Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at 5. Bingo every Monday night, too, starting at 7. Coralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
When the biggest names in aerospace, financial services, and electronics needed office and manufacturing space in Huntsville, they called Samples Properties, and they've been doing it for over 40 years. When Huntsville first began to grow, so did Samples Properties. You can trust your business to Samples Properties and their deep knowledge of the commercial real estate market in Huntsville and Madison. When you're in the market for commercial real estate and you need a partner who knows how to make your plans come together, Samples Properties can guide you through all the legal, financial, and regulatory hurdles. And if you just need office space to start or grow your business, Samples Properties is the call you need to make. Go to samplesproperties.com to see the impressive list of clients that have profited from the knowledge and integrity of Samples Properties. For commercial real estate development and consultation, trust your business to Samples Properties, with offices on Madison Street in downtown Huntsville. Samplesproperties.com.
See your Rocket City Trash Pandas take on the Pensacola Blue Wahoos tonight for an extended happy hour at Toyota Field. Enjoy $3 domestics at the Inline Electric Rock Porch, plus Stadium Concourse will be loaded with activities for Agriculture Night. Be a part of the fun and get your tickets now at tptix.com. Let's rock it.
Join us next week, live from Dallas, for SEC Media Days. 9 hours a day of coverage on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
Sounds like Football Friday, doesn't it? 12 hours, not 9. Segment of the show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. You know, now is the time to use the equity in your home, which is at an all-time high, to eliminate consumer debt forever. Then you can refi later to a lower rate and even a shorter term when the rates drop. You'll learn more at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. And if you're interested in buying an investment home or a second home, at the lake or beach or in the mountains. They've got great programs to make that happen. Just go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more about Brian Hammaker and his team and how they can take care of you in all three of those states. All right, we go to the lines. Grumpy is up first. Grumpy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, man. I'll try to be brief. I know you got stuff you want to get to. So when you report that, well, not you, but when colleges report how much they're paying these players, or do they need to report that, or is that the media finds it out and reports it?
Yeah, they find it out because the players make those deals known, because obviously they want the publicity, not always the financial end of those, but, they dig around and they kind of they try to find out the best they can what the, evaluation is. Okay, if one university has money, another university has a little more money. So the first university says, well, we know we're going to get millions in the future. So can they structure that to where these young men are going to be getting money 10 years from now, even though they're only making $16,000 this year, they make $16,000 for the next 10 years, even after they've graduated. Can they do that? Is that what's going on? Well, remember, it's coming from the collective, and so there could be deals like that. It's still not coming from the university's money that they're making off of TV and stuff like that. But the collective could say they could sign a guy up to a 10-year deal, that carries over into his being a pro and whatnot. They could do a Bobby Bonilla deal where they're paying him for years after he's done. Turns out he doesn't play, and they still pay him. Yeah.
Yeah, because if that's not already rampant, then that's going to be, because it's always more. So that's coming if they're already not doing 10-year deals.
Well, and the other thing is that look, NFL players have NIL deals. We just don't call it NIL deals. When we see Peyton Manning or Eli Manning doing a commercial, that's basically the same as NIL. They're making money off their name, image, and likeness. So if Dick's Sporting Goods wants to sign up a kid, Jackson Dart, to do commercials for them, it could be a 5-year deal. It could extend into his NFL career. The thing is that his agent may not want to sign a long-term deal like that because, they might think that he's worth a heck of a lot more by the third year of his NFL career.
So outside of Huntsville, outside of the sponsors that you have for restaurants, which I love them all, outside of Huntsville, my favorite restaurant in Alabama is Nicky's West in Birmingham. Have you ever eaten there?
No, I never even heard of it. Nicky's West.
It's like a meat and three. You slide your tray and you pick cafeteria style what you want. The food is excellent. The Greek chicken is number one. My number 2 restaurant, and this is what I'm getting at, is in Fort Morgan or Gulf Shores. It's been there for 67 years, and you probably hadn't eaten there because when you go to Florida, you've got kids and family members, and you kind of need to go visit them when you go to Florida. So you probably hadn't been too much to Gulf Shores. But it was called Hazel's, and they announced today they're going to close after 67 years.
I saw that.
It makes me mad. I mean, it makes me sad, Tom, that you're never going to get to try that. They close on the 15th. But
Are they closing because of?
Go ahead.
Are they closing because the guy is retiring and they don't want to continue? What's the circumstance? They're not going out of business because of money, is it?
It's worth so much money. He could pass it on to the next person for a lot of money. I'm thinking it's probably got something to do with the lot. They're probably going to put a bank on it or something.
Oh.
But have you ever heard of Hazel's?
No, I saw the article about it. I have been to Gulf Shores only a couple of times, and I've been to Floribama. You know what I mean? I've gone to the Floribama.
But a lot of I mentioned it because a lot of your callers have grew up going to Hazel's. It's been there 67 years, and I know your boss has probably been there before. But anyway, thanks, brother. Have a good one.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. The boss has been there. I'm going to say that the boss has been there.
Yeah,
Chris,
I know
been
that.
to Hazel's?
I've never been to Hazel's as a kid, but I've seen that building. Yes. As a kid, I'd always go to Lambert's on the way down to the beach. So that was our ticket place.
When you're talking about the field, the playoff field of 12, you got to understand what the rules are. You got to understand that they're going to take the top 4 conference champions from the core 4 conferences. Okay, starting with that, and they will be the top 4 seeds. No matter what, they will be the top 4 seeds. So, and then they're going to take, from a mandatory standpoint, they're going to take the highest-ranked team from the group of 5. All right, so that's in play. And then Notre Dame has an opportunity. If they're ranked in the top 12 nationally of their standings, they have the opportunity to jump in as well. So this is how Connor O'Gara sets the field. He has at number 12, he has Memphis. So Memphis as the winner of the All-American Conference, is the AAC winner, the highest-ranked team. That doesn't mean that Memphis is the number 12-ranked team in the country. They won't be the number 12-ranked team in the country. They'll be the 12 seed, even though, for example, Auburn will be better than Memphis. All right, would beat Memphis if they played them, but that's not the case here. Memphis is the 12 seed for him. Number 11 seed out of the Big 12, the Big 12 loser of the Big 12 championship game, Utah. So they would be the 11 seed. The number 10 seed, the first team out of the Big 10, Iowa. So he's got Iowa as the 10 seed. At number 9, all right, the 9 seed. Remember, these 4 teams will play on the road at numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. At number 9, the first seed from the SEC, Ole Miss. At number 8, okay, Alabama, which means that Ole Miss would play at Alabama in the first round. All right, so note that. At number 7, Notre Dame. Notre Dame would be hosting Iowa in the semifinal. At number 6, he has the second team out of the Big 10, and that is Oregon. At 6, Oregon would be hosting Utah. At number 5, he has the third team from the SEC. That is Texas. He has Texas as the loser of the SEC championship game. So Texas at number 5 would be hosting Memphis. That's kind of a rollover. Now, these are your top 4 national teams. And this is where at some point in time, you're going to have to talk about whether or not this system even has to be flexed a little bit. At number 4, the Big 12 champion, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, look, Oklahoma State will get beaten by Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, Alabama, Ole Miss probably. But because they are of the Core 4 conferences, or whatever they're going to call them, Power 4. I like Core 4. That's the name that Conor O'Gara's glossed them with, and that's the name I'm using. Of the Core 4 conferences, they would be the lowest-ranked national or conference champion. So they automatically are the 4 seed, and they automatically get a bye in the first round. The number 3 seed is also a team that is not number 3 nationally, but they are the ACC champion and the only team from the ACC to get in, Florida State. The number 2 seed would be the SEC champ that beat Texas in the SEC championship game. That's Georgia. And the number 1 seed in the country would be, out of the Big 10, Ohio State. So there you go. Ohio State, Georgia, Florida State, Oklahoma State as your top 4 seeds with byes. Hosting at home are Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Alabama. And traveling on the road are Ole Miss, Iowa, Utah, and Memphis. So if you look at that, 2 automatically to kind of jump off the page at me over here, LSU, because I think LSU's schedule is favorable. I think LSU has an excellent opportunity. We just assume that all 9-3 teams out of the SEC or better would get into the playoff. Maybe not. But LSU, if they beat Southern Cal on opening day in Vegas, then they got Nicholls State, South Carolina. They get UCLA at home. They got South Alabama at home. And then they go, then they have Ole Miss at home. They go to Arkansas. They go to Texas A&M. And they have Alabama at Baton Rouge. And then they finish with Florida, Vandy, and Oklahoma at home. I think LSU could be 10-2, 9-3. Depending on who they would have beaten. If they're 9-3 and they've got victories over, Alabama and Ole Miss, I think they're in. Possibly. So that's one. The other one that kind of jumps off the page at you a little bit, two others that jump off the page at you a little bit, is Michigan. All right, so what he's saying here is that Michigan, remember, no divisions. He's saying that Michigan would be behind Ohio State, Oregon, and Iowa. Those are your three teams from the Big Ten. And that Michigan would be behind Utah, which is an at-large pick out of the Big 12. And that they would be behind Notre Dame. And that they would be behind Alabama and Ole Miss, which are picks out of the SEC that are at-large picks. If they're taking Alabama at number 8, if he's taking Alabama at number 8, let's see what he's looking at there in terms of, is it got to be a 10-2 team? Does he think that this is a 10-2 team?
That's crazy to think, though, when I look at it as well, that means like Utah would lose to Oklahoma State, right? And then that means Oklahoma State would drop behind all of those teams who didn't even make it to their conference championship game.
Say that again? Oklahoma State would be ahead of all of those teams.
I'm sorry. Utah would fall behind all of those teams who didn't even make it to their championship game.
Yeah, because what he's saying is that Utah, I don't know what he's saying. Maybe Utah's 10-2, 9-3.
Yeah.
10-2. It's got to be 10-2 and a loss in their 10-3 probably.
Right.
It's probably got them around 10-3, somewhere in there. What he says about Alabama is he says that we're talking about the first year after replacing the best coach in the history of the sport while facing the 30-day transfer portal. They had the benefit of the first year 12-team playoff. There are three unique factors at play. The playoff exists because 10-2 is very much on the table for the Tide. He's saying 10-2. I don't know that 9-3 gets them there. He's saying 10-2. If they were, if Alabama were 9-3 and they beat Georgia, let's say they're an 8-point favorite at Wisconsin, by the way. But if they were, say they got upset at Wisconsin and they beat Georgia, and let's say they went to Knoxville and beat Tennessee. Let's say they beat LSU, but got upset at Norman, where they'll be a slight favorite probably at Norman, Oklahoma. A 9-3 Alabama team would probably get some consideration. I'm not saying they would make 10-2 is for sure. 10-2 is for sure. He says, I won't do the thing where I tell you that Kalen DeBoer's year one competition at Washington is the same that he'll face at Alabama. But I will say that he's inheriting more proven talent than that group, especially on offense. It's almost like the Michigan loss and the offensive shift overshadowed the 2023 transformation of Jalen Milroe. As in a guy who finished higher in the Heisman Trophy voting than any returning player in the sport who didn't lose a single game against SEC competition, including SEC championship against Georgia. Yeah, think about that. 9-0 against the SEC. That matters, as does the fact that the offensive line should be improved after adding Parker Brailsford and then getting the return of Tyler Booker and Caden Proctor, who should be better than they were last year. That makes sense. And they also bring in Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver from Washington, to add to their young wide receivers. He says the potential roadblock will be defensively. Of course, they lost Caleb Downs. They do bring back multi-year starters at every level of the defense. Tim Smith, Deontay Lawson, Malachi Moore. But the lack of depth on that Alabama defense, they may be winning some games. They may have to win some games 35-30, 35-31, 45-40. They may have to have some, and we've seen that before. I don't know that Alabama will be great defensively. They play 5 teams that could have top 15 offenses in the country: Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, and Oklahoma. and they're at Tennessee, at LSU, and at Oklahoma. Those all could be top 5 offenses in the country, almost half their schedule, and that doesn't even include Auburn. Who knows what Auburn's going to do under Hugh Freeze in year 2. So there's that as well. Keith, the Michigan fan, is up. Keith, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing all right, big dog. Hey, Michigan is 25-1 odds on winning the national title. So, I got to go and put some money on that. I'm looking for Michigan to do pretty good, actually. From what I've been reading, their defense may be just as good as it was last year, even though they lost players to the NFL. They got some from the portal and some of the guys that came back, 2 of them, I believe. One cornerback is actually going to play both 2 ways.
Yeah.
So I like that. The Detroit Lions are 11-1, so to win the Super Bowl. So
what's Michigan to win an Natty? What's Michigan to win an Natty?
25-1.
25-1, and the Lions are 11-1. I think the Lions at 11-1 are a better bet than Michigan at 25. You're going to learn a lot about Michigan right off the bat. You know what I mean? What happens in that Texas game? Let's see what they look like in that Texas game week 2. You're going to see that, and then week 4 they get USC
Oregon
at home. Oregon's a little bit later
USC,
on.
But USC I'm not worried about. But we take care of Texas.
You always got to be concerned a little.
The odds going to drop.
Yeah.
Well, we take care of Texas, the odds are going to drop. And then if we beat Oregon at home, we back in the top 5.
Well, remember, you got to go to Washington before that, too, before you get to Oregon in November. Remember, and that at least is at your building. You know what I mean? It's at home.
But one thing about all of this is you can lose a game and still win the national title. So
I think you can lose 2 and still win the national title. If you were to lose 2, here's the funny thing.
Say Oregon and Ohio State.
Yeah, then that means you beat Texas, which is a hell of a win. But if you were to lose 2, you might not be in that Big Ten championship game, which would put you in better position. I think at 10-2, you have a better shot to make the playoff. At 10-2, not playing in a Big Ten championship game. If you were to go 10-3 and you lost in back-to-back weeks to Michigan, you're not going.
You're out.
You're out.
You out.
I mean, to Ohio State. If you were to go back-to-back weeks losing to Ohio State, you'd be out. You'd be better off going 10-2 and letting Ohio State beat Iowa or somebody like that. Then you'd have a chance, and then you would have a chance. But I don't see. I think it's a 9-3 team, maybe even 8-4.
Well, I'm looking for 10-0, 11-0. Remember, the team didn't lose at all last year, and that's motivation. And a few of the guys on defense came back, so they're going to be all right.
Got to learn a lot more about this new staff. But thanks for the call. I appreciate it. It's a good job by you. All right, let's get a break. We'll come back, wrap it up next. Thom Abraham Show live from Coral House on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well to try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials for you to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
Celebrate and honor those who have served our country. The annual Military Tribute Night at Toyota Field is Saturday, September 14th. For the 5th straight year, the USA Patriots amputee softball team will square off with the local veterans of AUSA. The patriotic extravaganza will be capped off by a post-game fireworks spectacular. Tickets are $10. Get yours at trashpandasbaseball.com/events.
And at Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative. Located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville, our brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, our diverse menu has something to please every palate. With a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, we invite you to savor the unique flavors of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative. Call 256-678-7036. The Brewers Cooperative.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I should come up sometime, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come up, I'll tell you a fortune.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN, The Zone.
Tomorrow morning, guys, 8 o'clock. I'm telling you, have your phone in your hand or your computer or whatever, have your finger ready, hovering over whatever it is that you do to buy one of these things. Because if this thing isn't gone by 8:05 tomorrow morning, I'll be stunned. I'll be absolutely stunned. So make sure that you're ready to go. The best Mexican restaurant on the planet. Now, I haven't been to every single Mexican restaurant on the planet, but I can't imagine anything better than Corralejo's. So this is what you want to be ready to do. Remember when Mike Gundy said, I'm 40, I'm a man, I'm 40.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to have like a new saying. I'm 56, I'm an idiot. I think that's what he should say.
God, yes.
His comment from earlier in the week, talking about his star running back, Ollie Gordon, getting arrested on suspicion of DUI, all right? And he blew a .1. And I get that a .1, it's just over the limit of .08. And what Gundy says is, well, I was looking it up, and, that could be, 3 beers or maybe 4 beers, and I've done that, 1,000 times. And, what are you talking about, Mike? To me, you've been over the limit driving 1,000 times? Is that what you're saying? And it's okay? That's what you're telling me? I mean, what a friggin' idiot.
Yeah, 4 beers could be at 3%. 4 beers could be at 8%. You don't know what percentage these beers are.
Yeah, he's like 4 beers. It could be 3 or it could be 4. I've had 3 or 4 beers and I've driven them on. Okay, that's item 1 where he's almost kind of like, well, blowing it off, maybe 3 or 4 beers, depending on your weight and everything like that. 2, kids underage. I mean, can we address the fact that the kid's underage and we're not even going to think about that? And then he jokes about the fact that, they're not penalizing him. They're not suspending him for the first half of the first game, who was probably against, Northwest Southwest State. He's not suspending him for anything. And he laughed and he says his punishment is he's probably going to have to carry it about 50 times week 1. I mean, what is that? I mean, it's mind-boggling. That's where we're at with college athletics now. That we just blow off a kid who is drinking, underage drinking, blowing a .11 or a .10 over the limit, and you're not even going to, sit him for a half? Yeah. You're doing what's best for your team and the university? How about doing what's best for the kid? Sit his butt down. Mike Gundy. Oh, I don't know. I've probably done that 1,000 times. Oh, okay. Okay. Then I guess it's okay. All right, I want to thank the gang at Corralejo's. Had an outstanding quesadilla here. You need to do the same. They got more than quesadillas on the menu, I promise you. But, check it out. All right, coming up next is Paul Feinbaum. I'm Thom Abraham. Have a wonderful day.